Welcome to Alternatives to AA. This is Joshua Robinson, and I've been 3 years sober.
And I'm Monique Robinson, and I'm 2 years sober. And we're here on a mission to help make the difficult journey of sobriety even easier to manage. Nobody in my world ever thought that I'd actually manage to be sober. So now we're taking what we've learned in the last decade to be able to help you too.
And we're not against AA. We just need to learn how to manage the other 23 hours of the day. From communication to relationships to self-care, we're going to show you how to cope when your triggers try to take you down.
Join us every Monday at 6 p.m. to uncover not only how to live without alcohol, but to thrive in sobriety and to swap out your addiction for a better life with the help of Alternatives to AA. So let's go.
Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about forgiveness, specifically forgiving yourself and others. What does that have to do with sobriety, you might ask?
Well, personally, for me, it was almost everything. Josh and I have always struggled with really trying to be perfect and trying to do everything right. But we know now that that's just impossible to do. And that's the first thing we really had to learn in sobriety was forgiving ourselves, because it is okay not to be okay.
Yeah, that's right. And personally with perfectionism, I had problems with it. So I would use alcohol to try to talk to women perfectly, or to help ease my back pain and all these other issues, over time.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just some of the excuses like that we had to forgive ourselves for. And truthfully, we're still forgiving ourselves all the time, because we realize now that forgiving ourselves for our past and everything is going to be a lifelong process.
So we just wanted to mention that perfectionism affected my life in regards to, if one aspect of my life wasn't perfect, then everything else must suck as well. And that's just not healthy, that all or nothing kind of mentality. So that was always such an issue, because no one's life is going to be perfect. Like you could be a billionaire, and so you have all this money, everyone thinks, oh, you're perfect, but maybe you don't have a good relationship with your parents, or there can be so many different things. No one's gonna have it all.
Absolutely. Everybody has their own demons and their own struggles and everything. So trying to be perfect is only gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's because it's literally impossible. But people that have perfectionism, like us, it's hard, because logically we know that it's not obtainable, but we still try.
That's true. We know from ourselves and just being involved with others who struggle with this, it's very common to have like all or nothing or black and white thinking. And learning to blur the edges with these and being more comfortable and compromising really comes with the learning to forgive yourself and others.
When you forgive yourself and others, you allow yourself to heal mentally and physically.
Because like internally you can even mess up like your stomach and your organs and your heart from putting yourself under so much stress.
Yeah, exactly. And when you realize that you're not your past, you open up all these different opportunities to become a better you. And this version of yourself can even be sober if you wanted to. And this is why forgiving yourself is so important. Personally, I like to call myself a recovering alcoholic instead of an alcoholic, just because it doesn't make me use that excuse that if I was still an alcoholic, then it would be easier for me to go drink again.
Right.
So recovering, it's like, or ex-alcoholic or something like that. In my mind, that makes it easier. And it doesn't make it as okay to go back to drinking. Like, it's not part of my ego. It's not part of my persona.
Right.
Yeah, and for me, like, I'm not as sober as long as Josh, and I'm not as comfortable with it. So I still consider myself an alcoholic because I have let myself, like, loosen the reins on that in the past, and that's when I've broke and gone and drank again. And considering that I basically fought this for a decade, I really do have to keep myself in check because, like I said before, you know, like I've told this to people many, many times that
I'm like the kid with Pringles. Once I pop, I can't stop. So once I have one drink, I can tell myself it's going to be the one drink. But somehow in 2 hours, I've had 10. Like, I just can't seem to stop myself. So I do call myself that only just to keep myself in check, because I just know that I am so vulnerable to that still. Or I feel like I'm so vulnerable to that still with my past. So.
Yeah, and I've been sober one time for like about 4 years, and then I went back to drinking.
Right.
So I kind of have that, well, I've done it before, kind of, so the not drinking part of myself is stronger.
Yeah. You've had a little more time. And plus, like, when I was talking about that decade, the first 5 years of it, I didn't believe that I had a problem. I believed that everybody else was telling me I had a problem.
Yeah.
And so, like, even denying that I had an active addiction, like, really made that extra problem. So, like, I know I have to be very vigilant about that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I can't forgive myself and tell myself, like, I have recovered, like, I have bounced back from this. I just still use the word alcoholic to just keep myself in check.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just like keep you in check, because like what happened to me the first time, I was sober 4 years, and I'm like, okay, I'm not an alcoholic anymore. Like, I'm, and then I went out to, do a wine tasting thing, and 2 weeks later, I'm just like flat out drunk every day.
Yeah.
From going completely sober for 4 years to flat out drunk in like a week or two is totally insane.
It's amazing how fast you can get back to that level.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought I could. I was almost a year sober the last time, right before I got this 2 years sober. I was 11 months sober, and I told myself I'd go out and have one. Except for the fact that I bought my old normal amount. I brought it home, and I even downloaded that stupid BMI calculator to try to, like, mess with it. I mean, these are the lies that you can tell yourself in active addiction, like, it's gonna be okay. And within 2 hours, I had 10 drinks.
Yeah.
Because I had bought my normal old amount, brought it home, but I still was only gonna have one. You can't buy a handle of vodka and only have one, people. It just doesn't happen.
Nope. No, it definitely does not happen.
So I've had to forgive myself for even that. Like, even that mistake. Like, now I can laugh about it a little bit, because it's just like, wow, I even talked myself into that one. But, like, I have to forgive that past person, because she is why I am the person I am today. So I still have to love that past version of myself, but I do prefer this version, the healthier, happier version.
Yeah. Not ignoring your problems version.
Yeah, trying to actually deal with the problems now instead of just numbing them with alcohol.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. And forgiving others for hurtful things they did in the past is important as well.
Definitely.
As this will reduce the amount of anger, resentment in your life. Forgiving others will also help you realize that no one is perfect. So why are you beating yourself up over that? You also should remember that forgiving someone doesn't mean what they did was right, but it just reduces that internal anger that's just going to hurt you. It's not going to really help anybody out.
Right.
It's just kind of a waste.
Yeah, because, I mean, half the time when you're angry, the other person doesn't even realize it, unless there's a conversation. So you're literally only hurting yourself with the anger.
Yeah, there's some quote that I can't remember right now, but it's pretty much talking about how, like, if you have anger towards someone, it's just you're poisoning yourself, and you're not even, so the whole thing is just, it's easy to do.
Oh, it is.
And a lot of times it's justifiable, but in the end, it's just hurting yourself. It doesn't do any good.
Yeah. So, like, learning to forgive the other people, understand why they are the way they are, helps you with forgiveness, and just knowing the fact that, like, if you're sure you didn't do anything wrong in the situation, and, like, the other person has, you just have to, like, understand, either you have a conversation and you confront it, or you have to just let it go. And like, that's your choice with the anger. But either way, you just don't want it to sit and fester and boil in your stomach and just hurt you. You do want to make a choice, you know, talk about it, or just be like, that's just how they are, and let it go.
I was about to say that's just how they are is so important. But then going back to the perfectionism thing,
Yeah.
like, well, you're like, no, they're not supposed to be that way. You know, the over judging of yourself and others are like, why can't they just do the right things? But you just got to be like, okay, this is how they are, and if I do this certain thing, this is what to expect. Like, if you know how their character, and you like ask them to come somewhere with you, and they just like are people that like cancel last minute, and then they cancel, and they're like, oh my god, what the fuck, you know, like getting all mad about it. It's like, you know, this is most likely going to happen. So you're just being an idiot at that point.
I wouldn't say an idiot, you know, like, because, you know, you're still hopeful that the people will change and will come and everything.
Yeah, I sure said maybe foolish or something.
Yeah, maybe it's a little
harsh.
Yeah, maybe it's like, you know, opening yourself up to potentially a little bit more pain. But at the same time, like, if you know that's how they are and you're prepared for it, it makes it easier to deal with when the bad happens. And again, it's one of those things where you have to understand yourself and others to be able to forgive, because you just have to understand, like, I don't like when people do these things to me. Okay, so maybe you don't put yourself in that situation anymore.
Yeah, that's the best way to deal with it.
And then if you do want to put yourself in the situation, you just have to be like, okay, here are the other people in this situation, and here's how they usually respond. We're probably going to expect that, but hope for the best.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to, or the best advice that like I would give to deal with those situations. And it may not be the right way, but it's worked for us. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like, especially so with AA, there is step 8, which specifically says make a list of persons we have harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. This talks about how you should apologize to anyone that you've hurt while drinking and or because of it. And this step is so hard for so many people, but it's so important in regards to your long-term sobriety. But this is also the step that has people, like, you know, caught up sometimes, because how do you actually go and talk to every single person in your life that you've hurt? And sometimes when you don't even know that you've hurt them, because, you know, sometimes you black out and sometimes you don't know that you've hurt the person. That has happened to me. So like, I know there's people in my past that I have hurt that I don't even remember what I said to them. But what I've done to deal with that stuff is I've flat out told them, like, I will be honest with you. I know that I've hurt you in the past. I don't remember exactly what I said, and I know I probably said the most hurtful thing to you at the time, and I'm sorry. You know, and genuinely meaning that. And in this process of like apologizing to people, you start to forgive yourself too, because you see in the other people's face, like, that you're not this horrible person that you turned yourself into. Like, I turned myself into like the beast of all beasts. I was just evil at that point. But it was because like I had a lot of anger, a lot of, you know, internal anger. And when I drink, I just let it all explode. But that was the only time I would let it explode.
Yeah, we both talked about that.
Yeah.
That, like, because of the perfectionism part of us and how we're always like had all these responsibilities as the oldest child. Pretty much being, you know, told that you had to do everything right. Like the alcohol allowed us to be like, well, you know, we could use the alcohol as an excuse for acting childish and
saying screw it.
and yeah, exactly. And expressing all that built up anger. So in a way, you know, it helped out for a second, but what would have been a better way is to express that anger without having to be destructive.
Right. Like expressing the anger in a healthy way, like we were talking about before, like having a conversation, or just understanding that that's how that person is. Let's not get ourselves into that situation again. That's all a part of forgiving yourself and others, which is, you know, step 8 of AA, but it's important for anybody who wants to get sober. So you don't necessarily have to like sit there and make a perfect list and like have your perfect way that you're going to apologize to everyone. Like sometimes that's how it feels in AA, that setup, that like almost impossible setup. It'll discourage people sometimes, but really what it's trying to tell you is to forgive it's trying to teach you how to forgive yourself and others, because it opens up healthy conversations like, I hurt you and I'm sorry. And then the person can either come back at you and be like, these are the reasons, and then you can talk about it and, heal. Or they sometimes immediately, like I've gotten the response a couple times, like, I knew that wasn't the real you, so I do forgive you. And it just got dropped. And for the people that did that for me, like one of my best friends did that for me. I thought she turned to like hating me, but really she was trying to hide from me because she didn't want to see me crumbling. She didn't want to see me falling down. She was just so hurt by it. But she still loved me and still like wanted to be there when I was healthy. So I thought she just like was starting to hate me, but the truth was she was just trying to hide because she was terrified that she'd get a phone call saying I was gone.
Yeah.
Because, I drank a lot in my past. I really did. But now, this person, like, when I finally, like, apologized to her, she just literally looked at me and said, Monique, I knew that was never the person you were, so I forgive you. Like, this is the person I like, though, so can we keep her? And that was fine. Like, that was truthful. That was honest. And I do like this version of me way better. So, like, it meant a lot to me for someone to say it to me like that. That really helped me in my forgiveness process. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed, but like it meant a lot to me, obviously. Because like someone who has been in my life forever, they knew I was just a little broken at the time, and that was okay. She didn't want to leave me, run away from me, like never talk to me again. So it meant the world to me. So
yeah, she's a great friend.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even you had to deal with it at the beginning of our relationship. I was drinking a little bit here and there because I was still trying to figure some stuff out. But, yeah.
Yeah, but I could still see the true you, same kind of thing.
Yeah, and thank God you did, or we wouldn't be here.
And I think that's how a lot of, like, people see the person, but they themselves don't see themselves that way.
Exactly.
Like, no, I'm horrible, I just drink. But they're just like, stop, just like, now I'm almost getting teary-eyed too. They're just like, stop drinking and then everything will be okay.
Yeah. Stop drinking and the version of you we love will come back.
Yeah, like
bring that one back.
Like, we know it's still there, but you tell yourself like,
it's gone.
No, it's gone forever. So
yeah,
no, it's definitely, it's hard, so yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I'm just so thankful that we're here at this point, So
yeah, so the process is great, and it definitely helps release some guilt, and provides closure to people that you might never see again, but at least that's how they feel, right?
Yeah,
like they're gone, and that's okay. But most people, and if they truly were your friend, they're gonna stay.
Yeah.
And so it's just about like getting rid of all that guilt and shame, and it's about loving yourself again.
Yeah,
which is really hard.
It is hard to do.
It's still hard nowadays, and that's something that, especially with social media and all these kind of things, it makes it even harder, just because, especially if you have perfectionist tendencies, then you're seeing other people that are doing better with certain things.
Yeah, like you're bringing up like the social media thing. Like everybody always puts their A game on social media. Nobody sees like the background pain. Nobody sees the background like falling down stuff. So they're seeing like your life being quote unquote perfect, but that's not the total reality. They're getting just the snapshots you choose. So sometimes that's very misleading, because you're like,
I can't do that. I can't be perfect. Like, there's no way. I mean, I've fallen trapped to that one a million times on Facebook where I'm like, oh my God, they have a beautiful home. Oh my God, they have a beautiful family. Oh my God, they have a beautiful this. Like, something that, like, I'm like, how? But the truth is, they didn't get that way by just, like, snapping their fingers. It's not like, you know, but that's how it seems on Facebook. So you have to understand that every good thing takes time. And that's one of the frustrating things about the world we live in right now is everything's so instant gratification.
Yep.
So like for us with the perfectionism with drinking, like because things weren't perfect at that moment, I had to have a drink because that made me deal with it. That it wasn't perfect, that it wasn't happening in that very instant.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, because of the things that we've done over the last couple of years, like we're building new things and they're taking time and sometimes a little longer than even we're still comfortable with. But the things we're building that are taking time are meaningful, are like fruitful, are towards our future. And those little things that take time really are making the future exciting again. So like my advice to people too is like, remember that all your dreams start with like one thing, one sentence, one movement, one step. And each one of the baby steps, like to help you get to those dreams, you have to celebrate each of the little ones more because those little ones lead up to the big things. But those little ones, if they're not moving quick enough, seem impossible. But if you celebrate them like, hey, we sent this email today, that's great. Hey, we went to the gym today for an hour to take care of our body, that's great. Like, whatever your goal is, breaking it down into little manageable things makes the perfectionism thing also easier to deal with because it's not like, oh my God, we don't have the house. We don't have a house. Like there's steps.
Or we don't have the kid.
Or we don't have a kid. Or like there's steps to take for these things. And you just have to like break it down into smaller bits so it doesn't seem like it'll never happen, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel the same way, and you know, we had so many goals and dreams, and we accomplished some of them already.
Yeah, like we got married.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that can prevent a clear head is repressed anger. And yeah, I feel the same way. And you know, we have all these dreams and goals, and we've already done some of them already, so that's good.
Yeah, like getting married.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that can prevent a clear head is repressed anger, that can develop as a side effect of drinking when you don't deal with it right then. And Amy Lowe says people who internalize their anger hold it within their bodies and psyche, and they can also divert this anger towards themselves, and they may suffer from depression, anxiety, and somatization. And somatization is emotions that turn into bodily pain or physical elements.
Absolutely. And being in the rooms of AA and even out, you know, in various situations, you see a lot of addicts suffering with these mental ailments. And it's not something that, like, you know, they should be ashamed about or anything. It's literally just learning new ways to cope. Because we as addicts tend to cope with our drug of choice. You know, for us, it was alcohol. And for others, you know, it's various drugs. But it's literally trying to teach ourselves how to cope and not have so much anger. Because, like, I know I've dealt with, like, I deal with anxiety pretty often, and I have dealt with depression in the past. And the depression was a part of that monster I talked about before that I had turned myself into because I was like, how did I turn into this person that just hates everything? When truthfully, I didn't hate everything. I was just mad. I was frustrated. Like, you know, so I was taking it out like hate, and hate and anger. But the truth was I was just frustrated with my current circumstances and saw no light at the end of the tunnel to help get myself out. So with learning the different ways of forgiveness and the other tools that we have throughout, you know, the 2 years of getting sober, like that's how I've ended up where I am now. So, yeah. But in that same article that you were talking about, it said that like when repressed anger is paired with perfectionistic
or obsessive compulsive tendencies, it may manifest in a self-righteous way in which the person becomes highly critical of themselves or others with unrelenting standards. And that statement right there to both of us was forgiving yourself and forgiving others. Because the repressed anger towards trying to make others be perfect or trying to be perfect ourselves or just being, completely happy with, but setting like too high a standards, like it's just impossible.
Yeah.
So that's about like understanding the people that you're around. That's forgiving yourself for not being, the best you think you should be, just being comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And the same with others, like expecting them to be better than they are, when you just have to be like, you know what, I love this person, it's fine, we'll deal with this, we'll change the situation, or we won't put ourselves in that situation, because I'd rather be with the person and still love the person than get constantly mad, so you just have to figure out that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And so for anyone that's wondering, gonna tell you all the different symptoms of repressed anger.
Because hearing them actually is surprising.
Yeah.
It kind of taught us that we actually had some, and that what caused a lot of our drinking.
And we still have them, but
Yeah.
we're working on it. And because there's just a lot of repressed anger. I mean,
Yeah.
So here are the symptoms: headache, digestive issues, emotional numbness, lethargy, depression, lingering sadness without clear reasons, lack of motivation, chronic procrastination, urges to hurt oneself, inability to stand up for oneself and let others take advantage of them, having unreasonably high and unrelenting standards, having a harsh self-critic or inner critic, and inability to relax or have pleasure in life, confused sense of self and identity, confusion, and the tendency to judge others.
And if you have any of those symptoms, please first just take a deep breath. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody has these symptoms at different parts in their lives. So you really do just have to understand that it's not making you any different or anything like that than anyone else. You just have to breathe, and you have to learn how to deal with this repressed anger, which is something that we're constantly learning about and, bringing up and adding. And through the various tools, I'm sure that this this residual anger will come up again, because we want you to understand that you're not gonna fix all of these things in 1 second. It's impossible. It's a process. I've been sober now for 2 years, and I'm still relearning and fixing different things and learning new ways. And that's why we wanted to do this podcast for you guys, to give you the tools over time, and as we learn them over time, to share them with you too, because no matter what, sobriety is also always a learning game. You want to learn new ways to cope always, because every single day your life is different.
Yeah, I agree. It's there's always challenges, and you always want to keep learning, and it's not easy, but it's better than an alternative.
Absolutely.
It's very hard still. There's a lot of days that some bad stuff happens, and you just your mind goes to it for a second, I just want to drink and not think about this.
Yeah.
But then all the negative consequences that come with it, and
yeah.
But it's hard. It's it's a never-ending battle.
It is.
And so having, certain tools you can go to when you have to, fight the monster, it just makes it a lot easier than going in there naked.
Yeah.
And,
naked
just
and
trying
vulnerable.
just trying to punch him or something. You don't have a shield or a sword. You need tools. But
yeah, you're not a gladiator.
so that's just what we're trying to provide and say that this is what worked for us.
Yeah. And one of the ways even to do that is to finding something little every day that makes you happy. Whether it's going to the gym or reading a book or doing or breathing techniques or using the Calm app. I know that works for a lot of people. Or watching your favorite TV show. You just have to find ways that you love that are healthy choices to just be there for you. Like some people might need, like a nighttime routine or a morning routine, like something like that will help you kind of be like, this is my hour, this is my half hour, this is my 10 minutes to myself, depending on your circumstances. Because I know moms out there sometimes, like, they don't have 10 minutes to themselves. So, you work it in with what you have. But you just give yourself something every day that you're like, that made me happy. I'm so glad I did that. That was for me, and the rest of the day can be about everybody else if need be. But like, you need to find something every day that's just for you.
So those times of like happiness, they kind of help chip away at that anger.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have that, then the anger just stays the same or grows.
Yeah, it festers. Because you're like, why am I doing all this for everybody else? Why doesn't anyone give me a minute of my own time? It's not even like letting people give you a minute of your own time. You have to choose sometimes to give yourself minutes in the day. I personally had to start choosing to give myself time because, I love helping people. I love helping others. But sometimes, like, I've helped people for a week and I'm like, I have gotten nothing accomplished for myself. And that made me angry.
Yeah, angry at yourself.
Yeah. So, like, it's about balancing and understanding your boundaries and knowing that you are constantly learning those boundaries too. You have to just be able to adjust a little bit more. And it seems counterintuitive, but you just start to be like, if you know, like, you have something to look forward at the end of the day, or something to look forward to in the morning, or midday, whenever you sneak in your you time, like, it gives you something to kind of be like, okay, all this other stuff doesn't matter. Like, I know I have some time for myself coming up. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It really does help.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like, what I usually do is I'll like go for walks, or I'll try to read, even though I haven't been doing that recently.
Or doing something artistic for you.
Yeah, I'll try to like color, or go to the gym. And everyone has their own different things, but so whatever you've done in the past that like when you weren't drinking, when you were just like
sober,
when you're sober and a happy time in your life, and what did you like to do? Like, try to go back to that, and you'll just be amazed at how much like joy that can really give you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if anybody wants to comment about different things that they have done that they think we should try, or that we should suggest to people to try, we'd love to hear about it as well, because we're always looking for new opportunities to help with the self-improvement and just finding new ways to find things exciting in life.
Yeah, exactly.
So
hope you guys got some good information, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Alternatives to AA. If you would like to contact us directly, please shoot us an email at alternatives2aa2021@gmail.com. We also hope that you continue to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. You can watch us live on YouTube. You can subscribe to us that way as well. You can leave us a 5-star rating and follow us on Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, we ask that you please leave a rating and an honest review.
We'll see you next week. Bye.